I'm fortunate here to be here, and I have my friend and colleague of many years, Badri Narayan, who, as you will see, is the actual star of this show. What we're going to do is, I'm going to just play you a very quick video, and hopefully in the next 8 or 10 minutes, we'll be able to give you an overview of this incredible structure that has been designed and put out in CIDCO at Vashi. Could I have the lights down completely? Yeah. This was a project that we started in 2006, I think, and 6 or 7, and it was a very simple, straightforward exhibition design building. It was an exhibition design and convention center that we were asked to do for CIDCO, and it took us about a year or so to design it. It changed from its classic box, which was a typical exhibition center, into one of the most incredible, free-flowing, exciting structures that I've ever designed, and I'm sure Badri has ever designed. And we're hoping that we can push the envelope and see where we can go. As I go through the video, we'll probably just stop at pauses and maybe give you a couple of insights onto the presentation. And then towards the end, we'll show you, the video is what we created about a year and a half, maybe more ago, to prove to CIDCO and the authorities that this building can actually be constructed and can actually stand, because we had released by then about 4,500 drawings, which nobody could sort of make sense of, because they were very, very detailed drawings of specific sites and areas and things like that. And the video sort of put it all together, because people were seeing this incredible animal being constructed outside of Vashi station, didn't know what it was. The video put it together, and I'm hoping that you will see it. Structure happens without a very tight team, and this is pretty much the team that worked on it. These 3 service blocks on the south side. The entire structure is in an arc segment. We've just flown over the structure, and now we're entering into the east end. So we have precast, pre-board pile foundations. We've used about 4,000 metric tons of steel. Incidentally, it's porous and was imported from all over the place. Badri's insistence that we kept our structural section limited to a 400 mm dimension, whether it's a 400 mm diameter or a 400 mm in terms of sectional size. And we varied the thicknesses of the structural steel anywhere from 8 millimeters to about 32 millimeters. The grade we've used, central expansion joint, though it's about 300 odd meters in length, we have only one expansion joint. And it's a completely rigid steel frame to counter any lateral and seismic loads. The complexity started happening because as architects, we sort of try to imagine different forms and things. So because the plot was in a sort of arc in one side of space, we had the entire plan in a sort of segment chord. In addition to that, we had the roof, which was made up of pretty much 3 scallops, which went into crests and waves. And this created the skylight portions, which was in fact a variable girder, which we'll talk about. The arc length, like you can see, is about 314. We've used a double skin calzip roof. Primarily, this entire structure is a fully air-conditioned structure. The air conditioning and all the MEP and services, the bus bars, all the practical services are happening underground. We decided to talk about an isothermal environment for air conditioning so that we cool only up to about 3 meters and save on air conditioning costs. It's a LEED certified green building, one of the largest exhibition centers that was done. And the exciting part about this is that the entire structure was, there has been absolutely no foreign hand in this except for the suppliers of our raw materials. Badri and SPA Consultants Private Limited, Shirish Patel and his team have created this entire thing in-house, and that should be absolute testimonial to the sort of talent we have locally sitting in-house in an Indian context. Move out of the exhibition center into a food court area, the idea being that we kept it alive right through the day. Exhibitions happen few and far between through the year. So we decided to keep this as a local counterpart. The food court has many restaurants and many sort of eateries with large open space where people can come and sit around. There are chevron columns that we've used, primarily just V-shaped columns. And there are 16 columns that are holding up a roof which sort of covers about 150,000 square feet of exhibition air-conditioned space. Everything in this project is in either thousands of tons or many square meters or square acres of glass and stuff like that. And we've sort of pushed the envelope in terms of architectural detailing, in terms of structural detailing. The entire product was modeled on Tekla software. I've been hearing somebody saying that they were agents for Tekla and pushing it. We've experimented with almost every material that we could have. We've had a good time sort of putting it all together. And this is a great correlationship of architectural and engineering expertise coming to create this project. The columns, like I said, different thicknesses, 400 diameter only, and these have varied in height from anywhere between 7 and 12 meters. The overall height has been up to about 19 meters. So it allows incredible amounts of air and space that happen within the exhibition center for this kind of scale of building. We have what we call a grand staircase, which allows us to enter the building. We enter onto a mezzanine level. The mezzanine level itself is about 22,000 odd square feet of additional air-conditioned space, which oversees the other 2 spaces of about 50,000 square feet each. And then we walk out through the building, through the exhibition center, through a bridge that was designed as a public space, and move towards one part of the other part of the complex, which is the convention center and the ancillary buildings. the exhibition center was pretty much a marvel of steel construction and engineering, the convention center has been a beautiful composite of RCC as well as steel. And there's some incredible features here that we'll probably talk to you about when we see the shots of the existing building. So we have banquet halls and multipurpose halls and auditoria, restrooms, rehearsal rooms, all other facilities. We have a large elevated plaza that actually allows people to spill out and spill in into the space. Under this elevated plaza is a dedicated parking space. And what we're looking at across just now is the ancillary building. We created this again as another food court for this area, and we created what we call the Sitcosium, which is the museum for Sitco. Being almost a 50-year-old organization now, we decided that it's about time that they sort of put themselves on the map and showed what they've done for the city or the dormitory cities of Mumbai. We have an auditorium here which seats about 670 odd seats as on final count, fully functional, and the acoustics are at par with the NCPA in Bombay. We have steel trusses here of about 3.5 meters, which span 28 meters, and in fact cantilever on out one side by about 10 meters. And frame which covers on both the glass and the external facade. I'll show you details of that. If you notice this entire facade that is being supported, I'll show you a better detail. The glass at the bottom is completely continuous. It has no structural framework. It is just glass on glass butt jointed. The entire supported steel is from that 10-meter cantilever on a truss work, which is horizontal truss work, and hangs from the roof. The steel experts can probably see the lenticular girder that's up there. The compression segment is a box structure, and the tension segment is two plate structures. We have dedicated parking that happens in this space. The proposal is also to do a dedicated new parking structure, preferably or probably in steel, which will house another 1,500 odd cars that will be parking to feed this exhibition center. This was an interesting concept because we wanted a completely clear beamless ceiling, a sort of soffit, and we needed to economize in terms of the amount of steel and concrete that we were using. So SPA had designed these void formers which happen in the roof, and the way we structured it is that we got skylights in to give us a clean north light so that we could get natural light into this museum environment. So what you saw was the artist's impression a couple of years back, and what you'll see now is on a 5-second timer basis, the actual photographs of the structure as built. And you'll see there's this extreme similarity between what has been done on site and what was proposed. As you can see, the truss work is supporting the entire glazing of the building, and the bottom line is completely free for glass, which is butt jointed with no structural framework at all. The entire facade is hung. What you see up there in the top of the frame is the 10-meter cantilevers that are actually supporting this entire structure. So just a quick run-off on this. It's probably the largest covered, fully air-conditioned exhibition center here. There's a state-of-the-art support facilities and infrastructure that allows you to have any scale of exhibition, preferably small scale and non-engineering stuff. It's the largest public green building, and it's a self-sustaining life cycle model. So we've used materials and things like that to give it a completely self-sustaining, non-maintenance sort of relationship. The double curved roof we talked about, multifunctional, flexible and adaptive spaces, so you can use these spaces coupled with each other or you can use them independently. It's an elegantly designed exposed steel structure, maximum use of natural light. In fact, during the day we have absolutely no space in the exhibition center which doesn't have perfect natural diffused light. Seamless access for physically challenged and landscaped areas. Tekla modeling helped resolve complex structural details. We've used roller deck shuttering for all our slabs in the convention center. We've got void forming like we talked about in the steel structure, the steel component of the structure that we had in our symposium area. And we've been looking at completely, the entire total station geometry was established because we had in the 315 or 314 meter sweep that we had column grids and structural grids at every 1 degree shift right through the entire structure. So this was completely correlated and aligned and done on site. The project highlights for services, I mean, these are sort of classic hygiene conditions, nothing super spectacular about this, but we are completely connected. The entire system is monitored, the air conditioning, the air, the structural systems, the access control, cameras, we have about 65 cameras. Everything is being done on a BMS integrated system. There's underground air conditioning, there's underground bus ducts. We have a very early smoke detection system, primarily because it's a public building and things like that. Energy efficient stuff, fully diesel backed up in terms of power. And that's pretty much what we've got for today. Badri, you want to say a few words because I'd like that?
Yeah. I'll just add a few things to that. You know, when we saw the architectural form that Ratan made initially, so then I thought the only way to do it is, it was doubly curved, also curved in plan, curved in elevation. So the only way to do it was, conceal the structural form within the architectural form. So that's how the whole thing has been expressed. If you see, the whole structural form is within the architectural form, especially when you have these roofs which are got split levels, so we could hide all the structural main trusses within the form. That's why you don't see any extra projections beyond the form. If the trusses are there, either they incline at whatever the form that he wanted. So that's how the stability was achieved. As far as lateral stability was concerned, we had this chevron type of columns, but additionally we concealed a lot of additional elements within the glazing which were connected to the chevron columns that provided the stability to the whole structure against wind. So we have concealed the whole thing within the architectural form. That's how we could achieve this whole expression of the structure itself. And the only way to do this was steel, and only way to do it was using hollow box sections, which that was the only element I think which we had to import. We used about 2,000 tons of steel that had to be imported. And the next question that Simco was asking, how will this get fabricated? Will this ever get done correctly? That was a challenge truly. So the only way to do it was using all welded connections. We couldn't have done it with bolted connections, can't achieve that kind of position with every element is unique, every member length is unique, every angle is unique. So we did struggle in the beginning, especially erecting those columns. We had erected 3-4 times, we didn't get it right, but finally we did get it right. You erected columns in sample, then we erected the Virindale truss elements. It had to go in a modular form. But finally we did achieve it. There were some issues, but we did a lot of quality assurance, like doing a lot of ultrasound testing. We did a lot of in situ ultrasound testing. There were issues of a lot of welding. Then we did a lot of stress relieving also. So all this took, we finally achieved what we wanted to. Finally, there was things like, somebody from site said, oh, these points are not exactly the coordinates that is there in the Tekla 3D model. I said, it's okay. If it's little even off for a few inches, this kind of a form has got a certain kind of a structural redundancy. This helps. So these kind of issues, we didn't have to worry about, even if it had to go a little bit away. So there was, at the end of it, there was satisfaction that it could be achieved. That's all I mean.
Thank you. Thank you.